Welcome back, bookworms and listeners. Today, we're going to talk about day seven. Day seven is full of stuff, like too much stuff. And today we have a hard deadline. So forgive us if we go brief, but some pretty big important things happen. So we will talk about those. We're going to spoil everything in the Cosmere. So I hope you enjoy. And with me is Trevor, and on YouTube he is at the sandbox underscore official. He has just posted his Wind and Truth review, spoiler free. Go watch it. It's great. It's insightful. Yeah, and I don't think any news has changed. There's not any new
He's writing Mistborn Era 3, or he's pre-writing. He's
pre-writing.
10% done with that.
We're all pre-writing
We're
all
all
the time.
pre-writing.
I'm pre-writing my
I
sci-fi.
like what what does pre-writing mean for him? Like he's got outlines usually already, but maybe he's
I think
making
he
detailed
I think he's solidifying the
outlines.
outlines and
Okay.
characters.
Yeah. I think like he's said before, like for like Stormlight books, what he goes off of is like a single page that he has, like these are the things that need to happen in this book, and then he like goes from there. Which
Brilliant.
yeah. I feel like a single page is not helpful for 1300 plus tome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it works.
Anywho,
Or it doesn't. Go
uh,
Trevor's review to see if it works.
do you want to start with these interludes? I feel
I
like we can
do.
almost skip. I feel like we could skip the first one because we've gone through it so many times at this point.
We have right. So Interlude 11 is the one that Sanderson wrote or read at
Right.
Nexus 2023. And it has some world hoppers. It's got Bayon and Galadon and Demu.
Same ones from the first interlude
Yes, the
of
very,
When in
very first
Truth.
interlude. Yes.
Pure Lakes.
And in this case, they come to there. It also ties into that one interlude where Nail goes
Goes,
and kills the shoemaker after he
yeah,
is
for
about
healing.
yeah, for
Yeah.
healing. Yeah, for healing the orphan, which was super sad.
Yes.
Nail is unforgiven. But
Yes.
the more important thing is the that Kusikesh
Kusakash, yeah.
Kusikesh, which is the spren that comes out of the ocean that has been in an Axes interlude in either Way of Kings or Words of Radiance.
hmm
Um, it shows up again. It makes a perpendicularity, and all of the Iriali are going to leave Roshar.
Yeah. They speak of the fifth journey. It's time for their fifth journey. And they're continuing the long trail,
That's
whatever
right.
that means. My favorite theory for this, I don't know if you've heard this one, is that spoilers for Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, but we've already said that. Someone asked him after that secret project came out, like, uh, talking about like the three colors for like printing. You have the magenta, the cyan, and then the yellow.
Right.
And the yellow's not in the world. The yellow's gone. They just have like the cyan and magenta. And they're like, what happened to yellow? Is this like intentional? And he's like, you were thinking in the right train of thought. So I feel like the Iriali are that yellow because they're like golden people, right?
Right.
Um, and so I've seen a bunch of theories rolling online about it now, but I think my favorite one is that what's ambition, the shard of Kamashi.
Virtuosity.
No, not ambition, virtuosity. God, I get this mixed up. Virtuosity, the shard of Kamashi, sent them away to learn about art.
Could be.
I have it written down somewhere. I think we were talking about it a couple of weeks back,
Yeah.
but
Also, welcome,
yeah.
Griff.
So they're on
Hello.
this long. Hey, Griff. So they're on this long journey, and I feel like they've forgotten what their original like purpose was in it.
It could be. Or they're still on
Yeah,
their original purpose, but it's so broad that the individual Ariali don't really think about it. Because
yeah,
we know
maybe.
from the Stormlight RPG, the description of the Ariali as a race you can play, well, as a subspecies,
Hmm.
whatever, is that they follow the one, which is their religion, and it causes them to move from planet to planet. And that's all we got from there. But they are
Right.
following the religion, yeah.
No,
It's
that's
I have a
fair.
feeling, I've actually been thinking about this for a while, about why the Ariali move and what it's all about. And I have two theories.
okay.
My first is that it's something that uh Adonalcium set up before he was shattered, much like Roshar was.
Okay.
And I'm not entirely sure why, but one of my theories is that he set up the Ariali to move for whatever reason. Or it's something that Wit actually set up for some reason again, because the religion of the one does sound like Adonalcium.
That's fair.
And being like a mutated version of the story in a way of like the fact of it was one being that was shattered into many, and so it was a story that was warped over time, possibly through oral tradition or something.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'd buy into that.
But and so potentially it was something that Wit told them and set up, but again, I wouldn't know why entirely unless it's part of his plan to bring Adonalcium back together. But again, I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, that's as good as there is
Yeah.
any.
We also know that Virtuosity splintered herself, so that
Yeah.
lends more credence to the Iriali maybe being from her.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a bunch of theories online. If you go to Reddit, put in Iriali, you'll find something. But people are mostly talking about that, that line of reasoning.
Yeah. Virtuosity splintered herself,
Mhm.
and the Ariali are part of that because yellow's not
Hmm.
available on Komashi as a color.
Right, right.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's a cool theory.
Yeah.
My one question on this interlude, because I even have it written in my notes because I'm not sure who they're talking about, but they mentioned an odd woman with many rings who can heal. Who are they talking about?
Yeah, I like because I think you had suggested it was Axendweth, and
Yeah,
that's a possibility, but
I just
also,
I don't think she can heal, but maybe she can heal herself, not
yeah,
others. Um, who has many rings? I like that made me confused. Usually when they mention a lot of rings, they're talking about someone from Scadrial,
yeah.
but
But
yeah, I
as
was
far as I'm
confused
aware,
on
none
that.
of the metals have anything to do with healing.
But then if,
No.
but the letter ends up being from Wit, right? So it could have just been Wit light weaving himself to look like Axendweth,
Could be.
and and
Maybe.
the healing really talks about his his own healing that he can do
Hmm.
instead of like healing somebody else. I don't remember what context the
Yeah.
healing was in. Actually, I
So
skipped
then
over this interlude.
you're good. But the people leave through Kusakash, who opens Honor's Perpendicularity.
Is it?
Um,
Is it honors
yeah.
perpendicularity? Or is
That
it a perpendicularity?
I'm
I
pretty
think
sure
it's
it's
a
Honors. Because
perpendicularity. I don't.
Honors is the one that moves, right?
Well,
Well,
honor is the one that Dalinar can make,
right.
but that doesn't mean that it's the only perpendicularity that could be moved. And if the Ariali's like any shard can make a perpendicularity
Right.
on a planet. So if
Mm.
the Ariali are being moved by someone other than the three gods on Roshar, it could be the perpendicularity from another one of the shards.
Which I
Why
think
would
lends it.
Kusakash be opening it
I think,
in that case?
Well, he did say that he was chosen as their guide for this particular part of their travel, but that doesn't mean that he's, I don't know. I mean, I don't know why Kushikath would be tied to honor though either.
Hmm.
It could be virtuosity, some sort of algorithmic something or other gave Kusakesh
Yeah,
virtuosity's
I
perpendicularity.
said honors perpendicularity because that's what the mom said. She says the gateway to the land of shadows, Mother whispered, honors gateway.
Oh,
I mean,
Uh,
perhaps it
interesting.
is then. And I wonder if she was being given that information by her spren or if she just made an assumption.
yeah, we don't know. Anything could be possible. I don't know why Sanderson would want to throw us off the scent if it was like
Because if it was
Right.
virtuosity, then he wouldn't want us to know it was virtuosity until he was ready for us to know it was
why
virtuosity.
would it, I guess like why would he not want us to know
He,
his
but
virtuosity right
okay, I mean,
now?
look at how many times he's misled
I
us
was-
with unreliable narrators.
yeah, you're right. I just
Literally
To be
so
to
much.
be fair,
it seems so irrelevant to me. Like, what could he possibly do in the future that's like, oh my God, that was virtuosity. Oh, this changes everything. Like, I just
in
can't
fairness,
think of a
in
scenario.
fairness, if this point was chosen like a while ago and not something
Mhm.
that was done spontaneously, I'm sure Honor honestly could have set up his perpendicularity to open at this time at at that place
Could
to
be,
That's
to
true.
shepherd the Iriali into
especially if
Shadesmar.
he made a
So
deal. If he made a deal and he's bound by oaths, like that makes perfect sense, Griff.
I mean
That's true.
that actually makes a lot of sense because that's how the giant Inksprint became the Oathgate. So there's no reason that Kushikev could not have been
That's right.
sort of given the same treatment.
That's true. That's
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's where I'm leaning.
Okay. In the interest of time, let's move to interlude 12. And then
Yes.
for the chapters, we'll really just hit the high points of what's interesting. There's really,
Yeah.
yeah.
The one last interesting thing about the interlude is that they leave Roshar forever, and that is a common theme we see in this book that people are leaving, and we saw
Yes.
it in the epigraphs in part two.
Two.
Yeah, so it's just to call it out.
Good point. And then in interlude 12, Cultivation tries to pull a slick move on Odium and
Oh,
and
yeah.
tries to hold hostage Carbranth and
Hmm.
Taravangian's family. And Taravangian goes, "Yep, all right, well, I'll show you what I really mean." And he summons a wave and wipes Carbranth out. And
Yeah.
yeah,
One of the biggest WTF moments of my read.
that that was pretty
Yeah.
memorable. Good job, Sanderson.
I
It
remember
was pretty
texting you. I was like,
memorable.
"What just happened?"
Yep.
I will say that I think that Cultivation made a huge miscalculation there because in doing what she did, I think she actually severed Taravangian slash Odium's last like tie to humanity,
Yeah, that's a good point.
Hmm.
and probably, I mean, well, I think we can all guess the consequences of that. So
Yeah. I also like the insinuation here that cultivation is always like secretly planning something. Like she had like agents in the
Always.
town and she only reveals her hand when she's like ready to make a play. So it has you wondering like what else is she doing, you know?
yeah, and I mean, yeah, we've seen that she's kind of orchestrated a lot of the early events in the book, especially
Yeah.
Taravangian becoming Odium. So like she's definitely a schemer and a plotter.
Yeah.
Which actually
Yeah.
makes me wonder why she got the shard for growth. It's kind of an interesting, I wouldn't say a contradiction per se, but
I think
it's an interesting result.
I think it's a facet of cultivation, right? Like planning, scheming for certain events to
And
happen the way they do.
to be fair, she also does, and actually that makes sense because I think she probably plots and schemes the way she does because she's trying to work people along their journey. She just doesn't always see what that ends up being. Like obviously Taravangian as Odium doing what he's done so far was a huge miscalculation on her part.
Hmm.
Yeah. Like we know the intent of the power is to grow. What does that mean? Like grow in which way? And I feel like that's where the
Mm,
vessel comes in. And
yeah, true.
she's deciding, well, this is what makes the most sense to grow. And she's kind of urging the power to go in those ways, and that's why her schemes are the way they are. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Her
Yeah.
the way she acts is heavily influenced by external factors.
Hmm.
I'm
Otherwise,
also kind of curious what it means for someone to grow in like not only her eyes as a character, but in Sanderson's eyes as an author, because they make the mention of the fact that war forces people to grow as well, but we know in our modern times that a lot of the time that growth can lead to, I mean, that growth, quote unquote, actually ends up being trauma that can affect soldiers very negatively when they're in warfare. So,
good point. If you read or watch a bunch of Wind and Truth reviews, they'll claim Sanderson doesn't know about character growth. So, and then
okay.
I have never seen more negative comments
I know.
on a Sanderson book. I think the last time it was Rhythm of War, but like so it kind of makes sense because these are like part one, part two.
Yeah.
Um,
And
but
Rhythm of
man,
War
like
was very dark.
yeah,
And
It was, but I think it kind of needed to be to get the characters where they are. And
yeah,
yeah. And
I
so
don't,
with
so many of them are people that like I went in blind and I hated it. It's like, well, I mean, he made certain statements for a reason. Like this
yep.
is not an ending. Like I
this
don't
is
know.
an intermission, this isn't an end per se.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
And
an
so
ending,
I
not the
think,
ending.
not to get us too derailed, but I've had other people on another series entirely, I saw a similar response by a large group of the author's fans to a certain book in that had been released. And I don't know, I think people go in with more preconceptions than they think they do.
That's true. I'm just happy we get books unlike another author.
Looking at you, Martin.
Pull it out.
Ouch.
There's
I didn't name him.
Larry Correa, who's a author for Kaiju Preservation, no, Monster Hunter International,
Mm,
and a couple other things. He's friends with Steve Diamond, the horror author, and they go to Nexus. He was there at Nexus. He just finished writing, or he published the sixth book in his fantasy series, and he dedicated it to Martin, saying, "See, it's not
I
so
saw
hard."
that.
it's not so hard.
Yeah. See, George, it's not so hard. And he talked about
Oh
in his
my
podcast
gosh.
2 years earlier that he was going to do that, or not 2 years earlier, just yeah, like a year
That's
earlier.
crazy.
I know, I
Is he
know.
just really mad at him or like are
He,
they
he
friends?
um, Larry Correa is a very if you took um, and this is not a slight against libertarianism. If you took a stereotypical libertarian, that is a very close representation of how Larry Correa acts. So he is not phased by jabbing at people, uh,
Okay.
if that makes sense. So
Sure.
he has no qualms. Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Back to back to day seven. Day seven is full of a lot of war,
Yeah.
lots of war, and that's it. All right, we can wrap up.
That's
Yep, that's it, everybody. I'll take us out.
I
That
feel like the most interesting thing from this one, from what I remember, was seeing those flashbacks with Dalinar and co. At the tower.
yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. They
Yeah.
see a Etiam, right?
They see it. I think double
They
check my
live it.
notes to make sure I don't spoil anything. They I think they see them trapping Bam, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do they?
Yeah, they see. Wait, trapping
Ba-Ado-Mishram?
Mishram?
Yeah.
No, maybe
Yeah,
they don't.
no, they absolutely do. they absolutely. That scene is like not the last one, but it's one of the almost the last ones.
No, no,
Is
no, no. Yeah, I don't think they saw it. I think they got to that location, but they didn't see it
no,
yet.
I can guarantee you they see the scene of
They do.
Ba-Ado-Mishram being sucked into the to
Oh,
the
do they? Okay.
gem.
Okay.
Yes,
Oh,
that
Three.
is
yeah, you're right.
absolutely
It is the very last one. Okay. It is the very
yeah.
last one.
We didn't spoil anything
Yeah.
for this for next day. Okay, great.
Yeah,
Thank
no,
God.
it's the very last chapter. It's not the very last scene in the book, but it's the last chapter where they see Mishram being sucked into the gem.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what were we to gain from this this part of the day? What did we learn?
We learned that humans and singers can have relationships, and some
Yes,
people are mad
about
about
that.
that.
Yeah.
Not
I
some people in the real
oh,
world. I meant some people in the book.
oh
Yeah, it
yeah,
was
yeah,
and it
yeah.
wasn't and it wasn't Bam,
Right.
right?
Bam was on,
It wasn't
No.
Bam.
and then
So
also
It
we
was
see Mel
Skithras.
oh
Was
wait,
that
that's
his
not that
name?
word.
Gareth.
Gareth. It was Gareth and what
Malishi?
was the other one's name? It was
Her name is Singer Lady.
no, she has an actual name. She's given at the very end. Hold on.
Sorry, Miss
Because he
Singer
says her
Lady.
name. It's like Frosh or something, isn't it? I
Cockroach?
don't
What?
hold on.
I don't think it matters. But yeah, the Singer Lady, and Gareth make kissy kissy.
Shmone. That was it. Shmone.
Shmone.
That sounds racist.
Shmone. I'm
Say
assuming that's how it's pronounced. Maybe it's pronounced differently. I don't know. I
spell it
actually
one more
read that
time.
part. I didn't. It was
Shmo
Shmone.
Shmone.
Definitely Shmone.
Shmone. Yeah,
Shmone?
like unless the E is pronounced is either E or A, then it's Shmone.
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 Mona Lisa?
The famous painter, the famous singer painter, Shmone.
But Gareth and Shmone have relations,
Yep.
and they are revealing that to, was it the Windrunners and Malishi?
And
And the
well,
singers.
Trying to
the
show that they don't
singers
need to
and
fight.
yeah, the singers and the Windrunners they're releasing it to, or they're revealing it to everybody else who sees it is there under like in secret. They don't know they're being watched.
Ah, right,
So
right.
like Malishi is not supposed to be there.
Ah,
It's
I
just
see.
supposed to be the Windrunners and the singers.
And then past Ba-Ado-Mishram shows up and is like, "This is good." I'm super paraphrasing here. And then
Yeah, no.
Malishi is like, I'm gonna trap you in this gemstone.
Yeah,
Well,
though they don't
because
though she doesn't
honor pushes him
Honor
to.
pushes him to.
yeah, Honor pushes it.
Right.
Which okay, so that actually that makes sense when you consider that they were looking for the point where Honor dies, because I think the fact that Honor forced the Windrunners to break an oath is
Weakening
like
him.
yeah, like that's one of the consequences because uh Wit says that about Dalinar breaking the oath, right?
It could be, but he's keeping another oath, which we can't speak on because it's revealed
Right, we can
later.
yes, I know.
But
I'm just trying to speak from the position that
we get more of those, like the onion layers are unraveled with each day behind
Yes.
right.
these events, and Honor is doing this for a very specific reason,
Oh yeah, no,
which
I know. I'm
find
just
out
trying to
like day
speak
8 or 9.
the
Yep.
point
Yeah,
we're at and where readers might be listening from. So,
Sure.
yeah, but you should be able to glean from this that there's something else going on,
oh yeah, I mean,
and you're just gonna have to
we now
wait.
know that this is just one layer behind the recreants and all of that, and we can clearly see that there are multiple things underlaying what happened.
Yeah. And then
Right.
moving from Ba-Ado-Mishram being the past Ba-Ado-Mishram to Shalon, Renarin, and Rlain trying to find
Hmm.
Ba-Ado-Mishram, what happens to Shalon, Renarin, and Rlain early in this day is that they are exposed to some of their past trauma
Yes.
as children. Um, and they go through that all in chapter 79. They each go through little
Mm.
vignettes of trauma and how they felt during that time. And then they come together and they talk about it and how they've changed.
And they're trying to see if maybe I think they're starting to see that maybe if those visions shared anything, like maybe there's a message that someone's trying to give them.
That's right.
Although we know that
Yeah.
Shalon's kind of messed with that because she intentionally changed her vision.
Hmm.
It was supposed to
Yes.
be the night she killed her mother, but instead it turned into her mother and her father fighting and her telling stories to her brothers.
Right.
Indeed. Indeed.
Yes. Yes.
Now, and again, brevity because timing is short today.
Hmm.
Let's jump to the Szeth flashback, and then we'll talk about the Shattered Plains, and then we'll talk about Jasnah, and then we'll finish with Adelin
Okay.
and what's happening in Azmir. Szeth's
Sure.
flashback, he defeats the Windrunner Honor Bearer, and then
Tuco.
Tuco,
Rather.
right?
Tuko San Tuko.
Yeah, after 7 years of pilgrimage, and they say Tuco spoke against truth and was starting a civil war. And Szeth asks when he can meet the voice, and everybody's like, "Oh, after your second pilgrimage, after you've gone and defeated all the honor bearers." And then the voice was like, "Nope, you can come to me right now."
Yes.
Yeah, and nobody really liked that
Interesting.
Tuco died, except the other honor bearers. Some
Yeah.
of them were like,
Yeah. Everybody, all of Tuco's oh, I'm drawing a blank on the word. The his
The
underlings.
acolytes. The acolytes.
Thank you, the
yeah,
acolytes. That was the word I was looking for. Yeah, they're all like either weeping or staring at Szeth in hatred. So
Yeah. You can tell it's all like Shinavar politics going on with this.
yeah, there's definitely something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
the
there's
acolytes,
definitely
like you said, the acolytes love him, but the other honor bearers want to get rid of him. You know, is the Civil War true? Is he really truthless? Like, what's going on?
yeah, there's
Yeah,
definitely like again like like the whole thing with Ba-Ado-Mishram. There's layers there.
yeah. Who did you guys think the voice was at this point? I think Alex, I probably texted you. I had like two
you did.
theories because I really thought it was an unmade. And I was looking at the list on Coppermind, thinking like, oh, which ones could it be? Like, no, can't be that one, can't be that one. And I ended on two. I don't even remember who they are, um, who they were, but yeah. Who did you guys think it was at this point? Did you have any theories?
I still thought it was some sort of unmade that we just really didn't know very much about.
Mm-hmm.
That was my theory, though. Unlike you, I didn't go on to research to see who it was. I just kind of figured it was an unmade, especially because of how uh Shinavar was being presented like current day.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I figured it was some unmade that had like kind of set some plan into motion or something, and it was finally coming to fruition. But
Yeah.
as I said, I hadn't honestly gone and done any research on the unmade to see who it might have been. I just kind of figured it would be
Yeah.
revealed eventually.
I
So
I think the ones I was thinking I think were Chemo Arish and Yelignar.
Yep.
you're gonna have to remind me which ones those are.
I'm not gonna waste our time on it.
Okay, fair.
Everyone can look into it. I
Fair,
Yelignar is
fair,
called the
fair.
blight. Yelignar is called the blight wind, and I was like, oh, there's wind in this book. and then and then and then Chemo Arish is the dust mother, and I was like, yeah, we haven't seen enough of her. It might be her. It's not the other ones. um,
Fair. I mean, the term like dust mother, that actually kind of has some bearing, especially because we know what was happening. Like everybody was afraid of going out to farm because the
Right.
ground was swallowing them up. So like
yeah, exactly.
I can kind of see that having some bearing on it. Yeah.
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 Let's jump
So
over
then,
to, go ahead.
uh-huh.
Uh,
Who are we going to next?
Shattered Plains. So let's talk about Sigil. Let's talk about Venli real quick, and then we'll talk about Sigil and everything that happens with Sigil. So Venli is traveling to the Shattered Plains with the Chasm Fiends.
And they have some sweet moments together.
Yep, and that's it.
Yeah, that really was the entirety of their involvement in this
that
chapter.
was Venli's.
Yep, it was
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
first
have a
chapter
nice
that day.
little stroll through the chasms, and that's about it.
She reveals she can speak to their minds by projecting thoughts.
Right.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, really, they just kind of have a nice little stroll, and Venli has a conversation with Leshwi
Yep,
Yeah.
about not being a heavenly one anymore.
indeed. And so let's talk about Sigil because day 7 is one of Sigil's big
Yeah.
days. Wow. So Sigil comes to recognize that Narak 2 isn't as important as Narak Prime for the contract. And so giving up the Oath Gate won't mean much up to the deadline, especially because they don't have any shipments of Stormlight coming through,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which was a really crappy thing to do, Sanderson. That was rude.
Well, I mean, I could kind of see through other things he was doing in the chapter. Obviously, he was trying to put everyone, especially in day 7, in really precarious positions.
Yep. Yeah. And and then Sigil and Leighton talk. They
They're
run
gonna they're gonna set up a trap, right? They're gonna or like an illusion. They're gonna set up an
Yes,
illusion that
that's right.
Narok 3 is now more important, and so they're gonna pretend with I think Lightweavers or
Yes,
something.
Yeah, it
Starguile,
was with light waivers.
Argyle. They're gonna have like a gemstone, like a fake
Ash.
gemstone storage in like Narok 3, and they're gonna purposely give the singers a peek of it and then hide it to make it seem like they don't want them to know they have it there, so that they, dedicate more forces to Narok 3, again buying Prime more time.
Yep.
Which
Which
is
is genius.
brilliant.
I mean, Sigil's strategy and just his mind as a leader is just impeccable. I loved it.
Yeah. And
Yeah, no, that was one of my. I mean, I know we're going to go over this at the end, but I will definitely say that was one of my favorite parts of the of day 7.
it was clever,
Mhm.
yeah. And then Sigil and Leighton talk, they kind of talk about everything they've done getting up to this point, and it helps Sigil realize that this is where he was meant to be, which is a nice feeling for anybody to feel. And then,
Right.
And then Leighton gets stabbed.
yeah, Moash
Stabby
comes out
stab.
of, you know, the gates of hell that he was born from.
Yes. And
Yeah,
Leighton's death rattle. That
Yeah.
scared the
yeah,
crap out of me.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's even worse because
Honestly,
Moash kills Leighton Spren first,
yes.
Yes.
right?
And
So
then
now,
stabs Leighton himself, and
yeah,
it reignites my hatred for him. I mean, like, I
Yeah.
remember talking with some other people. This was a thing that happened in the we were in the lobby of um oh shoot, what's the hotel? The one where they had the charity organization.
oh,
The
the Radisson.
Radisson?
Radisson, thank you. I was in the lobby of the Radisson and I fell into conversation with someone or with a group of people. And I was talking about the fact that like I feel like Moash could potentially be uh redeemed in this book, like go through a redemption arc. Although um like I think it would be a personal redemption arc, not like a public one. Like I don't think he'd be redeemed in the eyes of people. He'd just be redeemed in his own eyes. And I remember reading this chapter and like I still like yeah, no, my anger was just reignited for him.
Yeah.
Yep.
I,
There's
I, I still I still see him in this like through these first 7 days as like the Darth Vader I still see him as like a pawn of something more sinister above him,
Yeah.
and like
Oh
anything could
yeah.
happen. Like, sure, he's gonna do like worse and worse acts. I still think at this point, I still thought that he can go out doing the right thing. I don't think he's gonna be redeemed. I think he's gonna, like Darth Vader, he's gonna go out doing the right thing.
Yeah, that's what I meant by personal redemption. Like not in the eyes of
Yeah.
people, but for himself. Yeah.
I think the only person that matters would be Kaladin to him, because that's really the only relationship that we feel torn of regarding Moash. So I don't know.
Especially
We'll
because
see if it's possible.
even when he
We'll,
had his emotions being sucked away by the previous odium, like he still had very obvious emotional reactions to Kaladin's presence. So
yeah.
Good point.
And logistically, I feel like there's a reason that we've seen as much of Moash and Fire as we have. I don't think Brandon's just showing us like, here's the turmoil he's going through for no reason. I think it is set up. I just don't know at this point for what.
That's a good thing to theorize on, I think.
yeah.
Yeah. That was one of my big theories going into the book, was that he's kind of like the Anakin character.
Yeah.
Um, so at this point, it remains to be seen if that still holds possible. But yeah.
Oh man, does that mean that he's gonna have kids and in 6 through 10 they're gonna
No, it's not it's not one-to-one translation. He's gonna have kids. They're gonna maybe kiss.
Oh no, it's going to be a straight to DVD release, like
There's gonna be a
like
holiday
Lion King
special. We won't
2.
talk about it, okay?
Brilliant. And I think that's the end of Sigel is Leighton dying.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that is his last
he gives
part.
the death rattle that he sees Sig and Vienta dying, and if you've read Sunlit Man, you're like, okay.
hmm.
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 And then actually, okay, and then Jasnah, we'll do Jasnah and then jump to Kaladin and then we'll go to Adelin.
Okay.
So Jasnah just
What?
tells the Windrunners to go check the ships, and then they're like, "Yep, there's nobody here."
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's just stones in the ships to weigh them down and make them look fuller than they are.
Yep. And Fen, the Queen of Phalana, is like, Jasnah, do you know what you're talking about?
Yeah, she's just, are you sure? It's a big
Yeah.
gambit. Yeah, that is the only Yasna, huh?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Which honestly, at this point, I kind of felt that it was going to end up being bigger because, like, Jasnah was like, "How do you breach an unbreachable city? I need to figure this out on paper." And I thought it was going to end up being a way bigger reveal than like, "Oh, it's not. It's all a big feint."
You don't. Yeah, yeah. I yeah. We were talking about last week, Griff, and I was just like, at that point, the only thing that I could foresee, as soon as she said like, how do you breach an unbreachable city, I was like, you don't. You just pretend you do. Which
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I love the logical reasoning though of how she got there. Like I just love Yaz's like logical aspect. I don't know.
I think Sanderson does
Oh
a good
yeah, no,
job.
I thought it was neat. It was just like I figured it was going to be a much bigger reveal of like I don't know some like heavenly or some fuse we hadn't seen or something like
Or the Dust Mother.
it does, yeah, it does matter. I don't know. I just felt it was going to be something huge and like it was going to be another. I guess because of the other parts of the chapter, I figured it was going to be another panic point in the same way that
Sure.
he had set up all the other positions to be. But no, with the Aston, it was just like no, there's nothing. We're just gonna
All
leave.
right.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. It felt so out of like it wasn't bad, mind you. It just felt so out of place compared to everything else going on.
Yeah.
So Kaladin and Szeth and now Nail, right?
Yeah.
What are they up
Yeah,
to?
The
yeah.
perfect trio.
What are they up to in this?
Yeah,
There's
chapter
like one chapter
86.
with them, right?
Yeah, part of a
Yeah.
chapter.
Yeah, he kills Is this the same day where he kills the Lightweaver one, or was that the previous day?
That was previous day.
And
Okay, then
that was the Truth Watcher, wasn't it? Or
I
was
thought it
it
was a light weaver.
was it?
no,
My
it was the
bad.
Lightweaver. Yeah, because okay, yeah, because the other one was hidden in an illusion to try to stab Szeth.
Yeah, the other I okay, yeah. He killed the yes. Yep.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Um,
No, this
but
one is just Kaladin.
Kaladin, he's practicing with the flute, still saying he's getting better.
Szeth wants more
Um,
stew.
yeah, and Nail's like eating a ration bar, right? And
Yeah.
then, um, doesn't he ask Kaladin for some at the end?
no, Kaladin decides to bring him some in kind of like an attempt at therapy because he just gave therapy to
Right.
the Highspren. And then he was trying to take Stu to Nail as well to kind of, I don't know, do some therapy on him or something. And like
Mm-hmm.
he stops, and then the wind shows him like a bunch of visions of like Nail doing stuff in the past.
Right.
And then we get a course correction for Kaladin's promise for the book, where the wind comes because Kaladin is like, well, I thought I was going to be the champion and I'm having a hard time dealing with it. And then the wind is like, well, somebody needs to be the champion of the Spren, and you need to help all
Mm-hmm.
the heralds. And
Because their journey isn't over. They need to finish their journey before they're laid to rest.
right.
Yeah. But
And then they see a river of lights in the distance.
mm-hmm.
Yep. Yep.
And towards the beginning or middle of this, Kaladin is giving another like therapy session to Szeth.
That's right.
Yeah.
And Kaladin comes to the realization that he needs to let Szeth work through this, and like through his own, mental battles, um, with assistance where Kaladin's able to help. But otherwise, if Kaladin does it for Szeth, he takes that away from him. And it was immediately after that, and I took a note of it. Kaladin starts to feel better immediately after this decision, and then Syl asks if their bond just changed.
Yep.
And this is a foreshadowing for something down the line, and I won't say what, but it's just calling it out.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then the Highspren shows up in like physical form.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And we have a somewhat humorous therapy session for Szeth's Highspren as well.
When he's in his physical form, he's like a black silhouette with like stars, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Do
and
you do
and
you guys do you guys also think about that alien from Ben 10 where he's just like stonewalled?
I
Like it's the alien where he can do anything, but in his mind he's got like those two Oathgate Spren type things where he's like he has to convince both sides to agree on
I have not
something,
seen
and
Ben
then
10.
No.
oh my God, should put it on the screen. But yeah, I
Okay.
don't know. I always think of that character.
What it did make me
That's
think of,
funny.
however, because Callan specifically mentions that while the Spren might move, the stars stay still, so it's kind of like a portal. And that
Mm,
makes me actually think of the game um
Portal.
no, not Portal. Terraria, because there's an avatar skin that works exactly the same way. You're just like a black silhouette with stars, and as you move across the screen, the stars stay where they are, so it just shows this continuing
Mm,
field. So
yeah,
That's
Alien
cool.
Alien X. That's the one I was thinking about.
Alien
Alien
X.
X.
Got it.
Yeah,
gotcha.
just
I
Google
will
it.
Google it after we're done.
Cool. Okay. And then let's talk about Adelin and the absolute
Oh boy,
clustercluck going on in Azamir.
seriously.
Yeah, what's going on in this part?
Well, it starts off with him having a no, never mind. Sorry, that's the previous day. I
Indeed.
think the Towers game with Yanagon.
That was
That's
the
the previous.
previous. Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
Hmm.
So
Then
Adelin, ultimately the first chapter Adelin is in, He uses binoculars, which are a new invention, and
Oh
a
yeah.
thunderclast shows up.
Yep, yep,
He
yep.
communicates with Maya, and Maya tells him that help is on the way.
Well,
Which is just like every
first he
day. It's like it's
sees
getting worse.
no,
It's
hold
getting
on.
worse.
He sees
The
the
binoculars are first and he sees the heavenly ones.
yes.
Yeah, the thunderclast isn't until later.
Well, it's the end of the well, Notum
Yeah, okay.
comes in and tells him
Right,
that.
right.
So Adolin
But
goes
yeah,
and dons his armor.
every day is getting worse. Every day Adelin reminds himself, "Oh, just 3 more days or two, whatever, how many more we've got." And Maya's like, "Good vibes, coming, maybe."
Yeah.
Yep, help is coming.
Does he
Because they
ask her in
also
this like, "Are you sure you're coming?" She's like, "Maybe." I don't know. I remember a moment like that somewhere in the book. She's like, "We'll see." I don't
Yeah.
know.
no, yeah, it was well, and in the previous one we find out that the reinforcements part of their force turned on them, and so
Yes.
the reinforcements aren't coming. Or they're coming much more slowly, I should say.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right.
And so he's kind of feeling a despair situation because he's talking to the not the I know he's talking to the general, he's talking to the other shard bearer, right? And he's no, it is the other general.
So yeah, he and
He's like,
Nezaham fight a thunderclash,
Right.
right?
yeah,
They fight a
and Nezaham
thunderclast.
gets absolutely
Yeah.
pulverized.
It
Yep.
kind of reminded me of the early chapter in Way of Kings with Adelin and Dalinar where they're fighting the Chasm Fiend. Kind of gave me similar
Mm,
vibes. I don't know if
that's
that was
good. Yeah.
intentional. But
Probably.
like you're reminded that like Adelin has the skill. This is something he can do. It's just like really hard and he can't
Yeah.
draw his blade, so he's just like in plate, just
Yeah.
like punching this skeleton
And
monster.
they're trying to trip it with a chain. And then
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kushcam, Zarb, um, he's like, okay, the oath gate is falling, so we're gonna do the whole rain fire from the ceiling and destroy the dome. Which
Right.
Adolin from the beginning was like, this is a last act. Don't do this until we're about to lose it entirely.
Right.
And Kushcam held to that. And
Yep.
then
And
Kushcam,
then a bunch of focused ones burst through the wall of the dome.
yes. And Kushcam tries his best and almost fails. And then the Truth Watcher comes and heals him. And then he does his best again. Good job, Kushcam.
Yeah. And then doesn't a BD show up and he goes to
Yeah.
Yeah.
like
So
the
we get
where the
we
where the hospitalized people
yes,
are.
we get a POV from Shalash, which is going back by
Yes.
Ash, and Abadi shows up and orders them to kill the wounded. And then Ash noticed that Taln stood up. And I
And
don't know
stopped
about y'all.
whispering.
Yeah, he had stopped whispering
Yeah,
and
no, that was a moment that stuck in my brain because she was like, there was one lack of sound. Talon had stopped whispering,
Yeah.
and I was
That
like,
was so
oh shit.
it was
sick.
so perfectly written. One of the best written parts of
Yep.
the whole book. I mean, it's terrifying. It's kind of like it's the way he writes Talon sometimes. It feels like like Jurassic Park, where like the dinosaurs not on screen, but you just see like the wreckage. Like
Yeah.
in any of those movies, you just like go to a part like, oh my god, like what did it do? Like that's Talon. Like you don't see him do stuff really ever, but you'll see like the aftermath. Sometimes you're like, holy, I don't want to piss him off. It's like the
Nope.
Hulk,
Yeah.
like
And remember that he tried at one point to kill Cultivation uh before they even became heralds. So this guy has some, I don't know, cojones, like just major killer vibe going on here. Uh,
yeah,
Adolin, Adolin tries his best to bring the Thunderclass down, and I remember, yeah, he does. The thing falls on top of him, and
yeah.
then Adolin wakes up, remembering his fight. May and Rahel see to him, but he realizes he's lost his leg,
Yes.
which I was like,
Before we
oh,
keep going,
yes,
I was looking for this quote because I wanted to read it out
okay,
because I absolutely love this. It was when Talon wakes up and he's clearly like going to fight the fuse and everything, and it says a crash broke the silence, windows cracking, air rushing to fill the hole Tom had left when he moved. Like clearly he is moving so fast that he is creating a slipstream.
Yeah, he broke the sound
Yeah.
barrier.
Yeah, and that was
That's sick.
Well,
yeah, that was
someone asked Sanderson last year, like who's the strongest fighter, um, in the Cosmere, and I think he's like, well, is this with powers, without? He's like, it doesn't matter. It would be Taln. Like no one can outmatch Taln.
That's
And it's
badass.
just,
yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah,
he
no,
writes
that
something like that
was
too.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, he absolutely did. I actually did not expect him to die as soon as he did.
Yeah. That was
Not gonna lie, like
I know,
I was
right?
a little unexpected when I reached that part. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
all
Because
right.
Adolin comes out and he finds Yanagon outside Talm's rampage trail.
Right, right.
And then they find Kushcam. He's still alive.
And everybody's asking each other, like, did you do this?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And they see both Ash and Talon like at
At,
the top of this mound of dead bodies, pretty
yep.
much.
And Ash
Um,
whispers this time that she won't let him go alone
yeah,
and then
that
dies.
was really sweet. What did Ash say like in the beginning of that scene? Like she said, like, why did you have to come here or something like that? Like to a
oh yeah,
BD.
you could have
Just
you could have taken the entire city, yet you came here to the broken.
yeah, yeah. That was just oh man. And like that's like
Yeah.
if Talon's there,
Like
it's
you
not where
fools,
you want
you
to
could have
be.
taken the entire city, but you came here to the broken, and yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So badass.
It's so good.
I actually, and I will say this was something that again, like we find Talon on the, and I will say that considering all of his presence in the last books, I was surprised that he went out without making really any kind of speech or connection to anyone. Like,
Hmm.
because we got those little flashes of lucidity from him in some of the earlier books, and I really expected to see more lucidity from him before he died, and we didn't really get that except for the trail of dead bodies he leaves.
Good
Yep.
point.
Alex, before you leave, I know you gotta go soon. I want to bring this up because we didn't talk about it. Dalnar and Navani, going back to the beginning.
Yeah.
We learn in this day. Well, we see that they learn in this day. Navani primarily, with experimentation of learning how to connect to someone in these visions, and
Hmm.
like you're mentally trying to find like where do you relate to this person? How
Mm-hmm.
can I, so like I think at some point she's like, "Oh, I'm a mom," and then she like becomes like one of the moms, or it
Yeah,
was something
she's
like
like
that. I can't
it's a
remember.
mom. She has two children, a boy and a girl, just like I do. Like
Yeah,
she has
yeah,
her
and
husband, or
so
she's
yeah,
alone, much like yeah.
she's learning how to hijack connection and like just kind of weaponizing a little bit for the sake of being able to navigate these visions. And in terms of connection, I thought that was really cool, but it's also really important going into the last 3 days of this book. Something
Hmm.
I think people should know.
Good point.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
and I mean it's definitely a day, not a chapter, a day where both Navani and Dalinar are learning a lot more about their powers as bondsmiths
Yeah.
and how
Yeah,
to
I
use
think
those powers.
they learn a lot more. They have a lot more questions.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, this day is when we find out, or at least the Stormfather reveals that he was hiding Dalinar from Odium.
Oh.
Because
Huh.
yeah, the Stormfather says, like, you've seen too much. I have to start. I need to stop protecting you from Odium. Like this is his realm now, or something. Hold on, I have the book here. I'll find the actual quote. It's like
Okay.
right near the end.
Okay. You do that. Um,
Yes.
we will also we will talk about the epigraphs next time because I'm out of time and I'm afraid that this won't save if I take my computer away from everything. So, Trevor,
Fair.
what was your favorite moment?
Talon.
Mine was also Taln.
Definitely not Adelin falling and losing a leg. I'm pretty sure I texted you sobbing. I was like, no, tell me
Yeah,
it's not true.
I
Tell
know,
me he's gonna be okay, Alex.
right?
Not my golden boy.
I know, I know.
Yeah.
Taln was
Griff,
good.
favorite moment?
Um, probably seeing Sigel's plan work, like
Mm,
the
yeah,
battle
Yeah.
tactics working out on the shattered plains and all of that. Like I'm still, yeah, that was probably my favorite point.
Hmm.
yeah. In Trevor's notes, you have the Stormfather says he has seen too much and he can no longer hide Dalinar. He leaves Dalinar
Yeah.
to the chaos, and
And
Dalinar,
then Odium immediately appears, right?
yeah, stashing them
Um,
away.
is that does he stash Renarin and Shalon away? Or was that Downer and
I
Gav?
think it's
Okay.
Dalinar, Navani, and Gav.
Okay. Could be. I don't remember.
Yeah, here it is. You, Dalinar, the Stormfather said, sounding exhausted, have seen too much. I hope you are satisfied. I must stop hiding you from Odium. You are his, and this is his domain now.
Dang, how rude.
Extremely rude. Honestly, the Stormfather's a bit of a dick.
Yeah, yeah. He's really not that reliable.
No, he's not that reliable. And like it's kind of interesting because of the fact that he and um the tower and the
Night Watcher.
um the Night Watcher are like the spren of the Dawns or of this bondsmiths when like I don't know it like yes I know why but also at the same time the Stormfather in particular does not seem to be one that should be a spren of connections.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Well, we are now out of time.
Rejected.
Indeed,
Trevor,
indeed.
thanks for joining us once again. Um, Griff, take us out.
All right. Until next time, don't panic, world hoppers.
Life before death, strength before weakness.
Don't mess with Talon or you'll never reach your destination.